Hey everyone, before we get started, if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me reach my next goal, and I'd love to have you as part of the family. If this story resonates, drop a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. Thank you. I used to believe that loving someone meant forgiving anything they did, no matter how much it tore at you, until there was nothing left inside. Before it all fell apart, Ethan and I were the kind of couple people called rock solid. Quiet, dependable, unflashy. No big fights, no drama, just steady, comfortable companionship. Ethan was the thoughtful, quiet type. The kind of man who'd notice when we were almost out of coffee or fix my scarf when it hung crooked. I was Lena, chatty, talkative, the one who could carry an entire conversation when he went quiet. For years, we fit together like puzzle pieces. At least, that's what I kept telling myself. Our breakup didn't happen with a single blow-up. It crept in through all the small ways couples start drifting apart without realizing it. Ethan started staying late at work. I started resenting how he'd roll into bed past midnight, smelling like cold night air and exhaustion. We stopped sharing the little things, the weird dream I had, the funny thing the neighbor's kid said, the dumb meme I couldn't wait to show him. Slowly, he became like a ghost passing through our apartment. But it wasn't the space between us that hurt most. It was that he stopped caring. He never noticed when I finally cut my hair or when I rearranged the bedroom. He didn't comment on the dinners I made, his favorite ones that I hoped would remind him of us. When I went quiet, he assumed I was tired. When I felt lonely, he assumed I wanted to be alone. And that one night I cried in the bathroom, he slept right through it. I should have just talked to him. I should have planted myself on the couch and told him how invisible I felt. But pride has a way of growing bigger every time attention shrinks. So instead of reaching for him, I started seeking validation elsewhere. It wasn't physical cheating, but I was starving for someone to make me feel seen again. And I knew exactly where to look. Jake, a coworker, had warmth in the ways Ethan no longer did. Quick to compliment, quick with a joke, noticing when I'd changed my hair or looked exhausted. He made me feel noticed, and I soaked it up. The flirting stayed harmless, technically, but it fed the part of me that had shriveled from Ethan's silence. I told myself it wasn't a big deal. Married people probably flirt sometimes, but deep down I knew I was driving a wedge straight through my own marriage. And I kept going. The night it all came crashing down wasn't planned. Ethan came home completely drained. He dropped his bag like it weighed 1,000 pounds and barely glanced at me. I asked about his day. Fine, he muttered. I offered dinner. He shrugged. Then he sat on the couch, opened his laptop, the blue glow reflecting off the glasses he only wore when too tired for contacts. Something inside me snapped. Months of trying to be enough. Months of pretending our quiet apartment wasn't becoming a tomb. It all broke loose. I did the cruelest thing I've ever done. I looked him in the eye and, deliberately, slowly, said that Jake at work had told me how good I looked lately, how nice it felt to have someone notice me again. I hadn't actually cheated, but I said it in the most humiliating way I could imagine. I used Jake like a knife and drove it straight into the one vulnerable place Ethan had, the fear he wasn't enough. He froze. His eyes lifted from the screen with visible effort. When they met mine, something quiet and crushing broke behind them. Not loud, not angry, just a deep, silent kind of hurt. Lena, he whispered, why would you say that to me? The apartment fell silent. I could hear the fridge humming. I should have said sorry. Should have told him I felt invisible, that I missed him, that I needed him to see me. But pride won again. So I doubled down. Because at least somebody does. His face changed in a way I'd never seen. Those warm, gentle brown eyes went dull, like someone had blown out a candle. In that moment, I knew I hadn't just hurt him verbally. I had humiliated him in the one place he'd always trusted completely, his heart. Ethan didn't yell. He didn't slam doors or storm out. He closed his laptop gently, set it on the couch, and leaned back, like he'd aged 10 years in a single breath. I watched him swallow, his throat moving like the words were stuck on something sharp. We were just going through a rough patch, he said softly. I couldn't answer. Pride and guilt were tangled so tightly, I couldn't untangle either. He stood slowly and calmly walked past me to the bedroom. The soft click of the door hitting the frame felt like a punch. In 8 years, he had never once shut a door on me. Not once. I lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling, replaying his expression until I felt nauseous. Silence wrapped around me like punishment, cold and heavy. The real fallout began the next morning. Ethan was up before me, as usual, but no kettle whistling, no cupboards opening, no spoon tapping against a mug. Nothing. I walked into the kitchen. He was dressed for work, jacket on, keys in hand. "Morning," I said softly. "Morning," he replied. Not cold, just neutral. Devastatingly neutral.
He didn't look at me.
He simply walked past. That quiet avoidance cut deeper than any fight ever could. It continued for days. Ethan wasn't mean. He could never be mean. But he became distant in a precise, careful way that wasn't him at all. He answered questions, but said nothing more. He noticed I was there but didn't really see me. He did chores, ate, moved through the rooms like a polite guest who didn't want to inconvenience anyone. The worst part?
He still treated me with respect.
A cool, detached respect, the kind that recognizes the shape of someone you used to know intimately but nothing more. I tried small fixes. Packed his lunch, slipped a note in his pocket, cooked his favorite meal. Nothing pierced the wall. He never raised his voice, never demanded explanations. Just silence, thick enough to feel like a brick wall. 1 week later, he came home early, earlier than usual. Normally, that would have sparked hope. Not this time. He walked in with the polite smile of a neighbor. "Dinner's ready," I said, trying to sound casual. "Thanks," he said, and passed me by. I caught his eyes as he moved. Empty. Not angry. Not hurt.
Hollow.
Then it hit me. The humiliation I'd thrown at him had sunk in deep, and it had changed something irreversibly. A man can forgive a lot, but humiliation? That cuts where love and pride collide. That night, I knocked on the bedroom door he'd kept closed all week. "Ethan, can we talk?" Long pause. Then, "Okay." I opened the door. He was sitting on the edge of the bed, hands loosely resting between his knees. Looking at him felt like staring at a stranger I used to know completely. "I'm so sorry," I blurted. "I didn't mean it. I was hurt. I was dumb. I just wanted to make you react." He nodded once, acknowledged that I spoke. "I didn't cheat. I rushed. There's nothing with Jake." I felt invisible. "I hear you," he said quietly. I whispered. He took a slow breath. "Lena, I'm not mad. I'm just different now." Different. That word landed like a quiet slap. "I trusted you with the part of me that fears I'm not enough," he said. "And you used it to hurt me." Tears stung my eyes.